These days, these phones are very great. They shoot in 4K. You can start with your phone.
As a growing creative, it's always a very tricky spot to navigate working for free and quote-unquote exposure.
My principle since I've started this thing and until now is that I approach. For instance, with the MacG one, I was watching this thing. I'm like, this guy is good, but it sounds bad. My name is Ayabulela Pagate, born and raised in Khayelitsha, Cape Town. I went into sound engineering, which changed my life. I was an intern at ETV, and then I became a senior sound engineer there for 9 years. From there, I discovered podcasting through MacG. I met MacG in 2019. Felt like he had bad sound, so I approached him. And I was like, I can fix this. And we fixed it for about 2 years. And then from there, I went on to do a whole other podcast with YFM, Hazel, October podcast, and a whole lot more.
My name is Grace Nasasira. I am a freelance director of photography. I run a business with Black Newborn. I also shoot and co-edit That Husband podcast.
Can we talk about maybe some similarities or intersections between the film industry and podcasting?
The basic similarities is there's a camera, there's a microphone, and there's lights. Number two, we talk of blocking. You want your guest to sit somewhere. You want your host to sit somewhere. Maybe you have a table. You have set design. Set design is the appearance. So if you look at this thing on YouTube, you won't see the trusses, you won't see the lights, but you'll see the backdrop, you'll see all the nice things, set design. So you want your thing to look visually appealing. I usually like to say, we need depth on our set. What does that look like? I don't want to put my guests or my talent against the wall. I want some separation so that it feels like we're seated in a space. You don't want to feel like these guys are being pressed in something, some sort of box.
If I'm just starting out, what are the things that I need to consider when choosing my set and how my sound is going to sound?
These days, these phones are very great. They shoot in 4K. You can start with your phone. When you open the camera, it shows you at the top there. You can change it to HD and 4K. You can also change the frames on the phone from 25 to 40 or whatever you're trying to shoot with. So you can start with the phone, maybe set it up in different angles and use the ring lights if you don't have the actual lights like this. You can choose a small room, very small room, and start like that so that also your audio doesn't bounce around a lot.
Look at your living room. I know most people have plants, most people have small shelves. That's a beautiful backdrop. AMPD is your best alternative to start with. You have very high-end cameras right here. The visuals play a role in that, in a sense, but I think if you have your story right, you can start with just your phone and people will tune in and they will listen.
I always feel like visuals and audio are energy. I don't know, it's a spiritual thing that I go through. Like if the visuals and the audio are not right, you can feel it as you're watching it. You don't know what's happening because, I mean, you're a normal person, but you can feel it that something is not right. I just can't pinpoint it.
We watched a lot of MacG's early stuff. He'd rock up into people's living rooms. So there he has no quality control. He doesn't know like how big the living room is, and he just has to work with what he's got. The idea of having a controlled setting like at M Studios does help you kind of mitigate a lot of the other little unnecessary mistakes and variables that you would be confronted with from a technical perspective. One of the things I'd like to talk about is your journey professionally. Also around networks in the technical space of other DOPs, other sound engineers, and the importance of that and just reflecting on how you became the people that you are today.
There's a very big importance for that because also the jobs that come through, they get to be siphoned across those communities. My principle since I've started this thing and until now is that I approach. For instance, with the MacG one, because it's the most profound one for me, I was watching this thing. I'm like, this guy is good, but it sounds bad. Luckily, there was a number on the screen at the end. I took the number, I texted it, and luckily it was him at that time still operating the number. And then from there, we met up, we started doing work from there, and I worked for free for most of the time. I always camped at YFM to get into YFM, but today I have a show on YFM. So it was always like that. ETV Cape Town, I used to sit outside and just wait for someone to come through until I know the guy that actually does the stuff, and then I approached him. They rejected me 4 times, but they sent me to Joburg, which was a blessing in disguise to me. Also, it teaches you a skill of talking. I was never a talker. So when I was approaching people more, I started knowing how to talk, how to structure sentences, how to structure my proposals also. So it helps you a lot.
I think the other part is there's approaching with a proposal, there's approaching with a solution. You have these graphics, right? I can make them better. Here's what I made for you. You could put a watermark. It's a sense of when someone looks at this thing, they think, actually, this is better than what I'm doing, rather than just rocking up and say, hey, I think your thing looks bad, but you have no reference. You know, if someone doesn't require your service, they won't buy. If someone requires your service, they will buy. If they're willing to offer something in the sense of work for free for this time, okay, I am getting something on my reel. I'm getting something because then I have part ownership in this thing I'm creating, right? I can do that. I can offer the service for you for pro bono for a period of time, but I won't force the product on you.
A lot of times you have to work for free because they don't have the money. How then do we discuss the equity part and owning within the YouTube space?
And maybe put it in writing, not just a gentleman's agreement.
Also, you must have the discernment of knowing what a good and a bad investment is. You can see a channel that's going to do good through the content, through the energy of the presenters, through the producers and everyone who's involved. You can see what's going forward. You should invest in those type of shows because you can't just invest in everything. Then you'll be doing work for free for your whole life.
It's fair to say, I don't work for free, but here's the thing. Ne? I'll do ABC for you. I co-own the content with you. And again, it's in writing. So then if you're monetized, when you're monetized, look here, this content is not going to be paid content because it came before your monetization. So you're not going to make any money from this. So it's unfair for me to tell you that I would love to earn in perpetuity from this content. I can use this content on my reel. And I think as a growing creative, it's always a very tricky spot to navigate working for free and quote unquote exposure and trying to make money. But here's the thing, you will never earn a job or get a job, a paid job, without something on your resume, without something to show. So I think there is an extent to which you have to work for free, and then the rest you have to sort of put yourself out there and sell yourself.
If I have the discernment to be able to identify good content, because I think that's where it starts. To be able to do that means that you must be a consumer of content, right? That
you must be within the culture. It's very important to sit within the culture. In those communities, it's gonna teach you a lot.
In the mainstream industry, it's what they call spec ads. So spec adverts. That's how DOPs, that's how directors come up. So if I create an ad for AMPed, put it on my socials or something related to AMP, if the person running or the salesperson or the marketing person for AMPed sees something and they like it, they're most likely to approach me because I have proof of concept for what they want. So it's how the industry works.
Calling out all content creators, from artists to podcasters to any creator who uses any form of audio. You can now upload your very own audio clip from a song to a content clip and promote your work using the MTN Caller Tunes platform. The cherry on top is you can use the Caller Tunes to make some moolah, cash, pesos by getting your fam, friends, and fans to use your Caller Tune, which will mean money in your pocket. So basically, every time someone listens to your Caller Tunes, likes it, they simply press any key from 1 to 9 to download it as their own, and that is a win for you too. You can submit your audio through AMP's very own distribution channel with MTN by sending it to the very email below. And of course, through Caller Tunes, you get access to the creative world of AM Studios with access to our resources from recording studios to podcasting equipment to events, networking sessions, and all of it. Get as creative as you want with MTN Caller Tunes and AM Studios.
Don't shy away from doing grunt work. PAs, production assistants. It's basically you come on set and all I have to do is the gents are on the cameras. After that, who's going to pack up? The DOP doesn't pack up. I'll go pack up. I'll go roll up the cables, have a chat with the camera guys. They'll teach me one thing or two. I'll learn from them. I'll say, hey, look here, I've done this. Oh, sheesh, you're actually this good. Okay. You never know where he takes your name, you know? So don't shy away from getting on a set and doing the actual hard, rough work because we all start somewhere.
The barriers to entry in the technical world, whether you're coming from a podcasting perspective or you're coming from a commercial space, is whether you're good or not. That's like the only barrier to entry. If you are really good, you can create stuff and pitch those things, right?
It's two-sided. Yeah, it's fair. That's a fair
You still need
analysis.
connections also.
Yes, social capital.
Lots of them.
If I know someone in the industry, it's easy for me to get in compared to having amazing work and I'm just living in my own world.
So the networking thing is important when it comes to that.
How does one build realistic and valuable social capital?
So it's very slow. So you have to be very patient. You could meet a guy today that does whatever you need in your company, but they might not answer you for a month. So what do you do in that space and gap? Also, you have to constantly text, call people, like annoy them. They always say that. DJ Clear once said that to me, you must annoy me or I'm not gonna talk to you, because people are also busy. So it's a constant working on it every day. You get used to that thing of just knocking. One of them is gonna barge. One is gonna happen, and within that you'll find the right person that's gonna connect you to the whole network. Because one person can have a whole SAVC behind them, and you don't know that because you gave up on the first attempt.
The other part of networking is spaces like this. I want to come to each and every other event that's organized here because I met Aya, I met everyone here, and I think we can learn from each other.
Basic things like your Instagram and who you follow the right people, understanding who's in the industry. Sometimes you can actually start your networking process at home on your phone.
I deliberately do that with my social networks. I'll follow an AMT knowing that the algorithm is going to change and show a whole lot of other people. I've recently started following the companies that do Rocking the Daisies, Hey Neighbors, and all of that, just to see and get the algorithm. And they've shown me a whole lot of other companies that do a whole lot of other stuff. You can go in there and find the CEO or the technical guy. Follow the technical guy and get you can get to the company through that, not necessarily. So it's interesting.
If I go to Aya to try and sell to him something, it's easy for me to say, hey, look what I've done on social media without having to create a whole document. And you never know who finds your content. And that could be the breakthrough that you're looking for. I think we live in such an amazing era right now that there is free information on YouTube and the internet. Literally, you could learn how to become a DOP on YouTube without paying a dime. It's incredible to think about it. I learned from a platform called lynda.com, and that's where I learned most of my stuff. You had to pay for that stuff. Now you don't have to. There is thousands and thousands of YouTubers on YouTube sitting down. Hey guys, this is how to make a cool video using your phone. What do you do? Oh, set it up like this. You can literally teach yourself these things, and they're very, very simple skills that you could hone in and learn, and you'll grow your channel, you'll grow the quality of your content, without having to wait for a Grace and Aya to come give you fancy tips on how to light your set. We all start from somewhere. You will get to a point where you need the exact skill set, but you start somewhere.
Equally, school is important. If you can, go to school so you can learn the theory of everything. Very important.
Yeah, I find that
School is more expensive than YouTube, guys. I'm just saying.
School is what? It's more
School
expensive.
is more expensive than YouTube.
School is more expensive than YouTube, but I feel like school also gives you your networks.
That's
because all of us are all gunning for the same thing, and I may get there sooner than you get there. And then I'm gonna bring my people that I know I've worked with.
How would you advise me to improve my sound, and which softwares do you recommend I use to amplify and clean my sound?
I believe in getting it right from the source. If your source is right, you have less work to do in your post. As someone who's trying to start out, someone who's trying to build yourself, softwares are going to cost you money. They are very expensive. That's the thing. So what I would say is that just get your audio from the start. Get your mic as close as possible to your mouth.
You need to learn mic technique. It's very important to speak into the mic.
It will give you less work in terms of cleaning it up. It will give you less work in terms of having to edit your EQ. Any basic software will give you a basic equalizer to sort of clean out the mud and clean out any unwanted sounds. I think at the start, we try to dig deep into all these fancy tools, which swallow us up. And so just get your thing right at the start, at the source when you're recording it. You have to do less post.
If you can invest in watching YouTube videos on mixing and mastering, on how to create your own chain of dynamics, EQs, and effects, because our ears also listen differently. So you'll find your own taste in that, and that's going to propel you to a different space. My sound sounds different to other podcasts in the world because of the mixing and mastering.
What can I do to make the most with one camera? I heard you speak about having 3 cameras and that allowing you to have more room, but what can I do with like just one camera?
What camera do you shoot with?
Canon EOS R.
Does it shoot 4K?
Yeah, it does, but it crops the 4K.
Okay, so let me give you a cheat code, right? 4K is technically twice HD. You can cheat 2 camera angles if you shoot 4K. So look here. No one should lie to you that 1080 content is not good. We shoot in 1080, except for big projects. But our podcast is shot in 1080, and that's sufficient. But do this. Shoot in 4K, right? If you put your video clip on a timeline that is 1080, right, you're going to realize that it's cropped in. If you go to your effects in, let's say, Premiere Pro or whatever software you're using and scale it back to 100, it's going to be a wide shot. If you hit it, if you go back and now start to edit and trim, you scale down to 50%, then you keep scaling up to maybe 85. That
Please
way you have to
explain scaling and all of that.
So, okay. What software do you use for editing?
Filmora.
You have a shot that is head to bust, to let's say my waist, right, at 4K. If you crop that shot, right, by a scale of 100%, it's going to be tight. If you put it at about 85%, it's going to give you a close-up, right? That way you have 2 camera angles. So that's how, in a sense, you cheat camera angles. Shoot 4K, they are bigger file sizes, but then you don't have to worry about jump cuts. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks.
So then the other part of improving your visuals, the thing that we overlook the most is this, the lighting. People think buying a fancy camera is the it-all of filming. But I can make a cheap 10,000 rand camera look good before I can make a 50,000 rand camera look good with poor lighting. So look to buy some affordable lights. Get a ring light. Get yourself like this.
Serenza, Serenza, Serenza.